Can Halo Infinity bring hope to 343 that they can make a great Halo game? Now we pretty much get the 343 situations when it comes to Halo games, such as when they first started with Halo 4, it was a disappointment. The Master Chief Collection during its release date was probably the most buggiest game that I've ever played in this generation. Halo 5 was another disappointment, and so on. With these examples, we pretty much get that 343 has messed up in a lot of Halo games, and hasn't been able to give you the same fun factor that Bungie had in their Halo games. Now, before people come at me, oh, you're only a Bungie fan, you just hate anything new, I have something to confess. I like some of what Halo's done recently. Now, whether those are changes that the community can agree are good or bad is up to them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll never forgive 343 for the false advertisement that they showed in Halo 5, and especially never forgive 343 for getting rid of split-screen multiplayer in Halo 5, but 343 has been able to do some groundbreaking things for their Halo games, such as on Halo 5. During its first week, Warzone was pretty fun. Now, understandably, fans did get pretty angry when it came to the microtransactions they put in. However, it was fun for its first week. Infection was another creative mode that they had. However, I only wish that they brought it out sooner rather than later. And Halo 5 Forge is probably the best Forge mode that I've ever seen in a Halo game. Now, don't mistake me here, okay? I thought Halo 5 was a good game. But the problem is, it did not have too much to offer during its release date. Now, some may argue that the updates that you got within Halo 5 was free. But here's the thing, you should not have to wait for a game to update for it to have more content. Because here's the thing, you already paid $60 for that game, knowing that there's some features that are going to get out of that game that the original games had, such as a split-screen multiplayer mode, and plus slowly they start bringing in even more content. That's like me buying a car and not being able to drive it on the highway during the first day that I get the car. However, for Halo Infinity, it looked pretty good. Seems like they're actually working with the new engine. We see a more lively and open and breathtaking world. Although we haven't gotten too much information about the story within this game, it seems to be a sequel to the last Halo game. And if the graphics during the gameplay looks as good as this, I think this could be one of the greatest, if not the greatest looking games of all time. Now, some people may say I'm becoming a fanboy of 343 all of a sudden, but that's certainly not the case. Because the truth is, I was pretty skeptical about what 343 will show to the table during this E3. Because after many disappointments, such as the Master Chief Collection, Halo 4, and also Halo 5 Guardians, it made sense for me to be skeptical about what they would show during the E3 press conference. And I am still pretty skeptical on what this game will be about. And despite me not seeing too much information about this, I was pretty happy with what I saw. Because when it comes to 343 making Halo, they're not better than Bungie, that's pretty obvious, and they certainly are not doing anything to get to the same level, and also they're bringing out a lot of disappointing titles after disappointing title. With Halo 4 being the first of the disappointing titles of Halo game, and Halo Master Chief Collection having an extremely crappy release, and finally we have Halo 5, which got rid of a lot of great game mechanics, started off with piss poor amount of content, and misleading advertisements on the campaign. This is the reason Halo Infinity has a lot that it needs to live up to, and the pressure is on 343. Because right now, not only do they need to bring in new fans, but they also have to keep the old fans happy as well. But from what I've seen in this game, it seems like the developers are definitely taking risks, and it seems like they're kind of giving the vibe of an open world type of community. But obviously, they do have a lot of work to do. But here are some suggestions that I think the devs at 343 can definitely use to make this Halo game the best Halo game that they can possibly make. First thing they need is a great story. Now obviously, I could see why it can be great because of the return of Master Chief. But with the devs confirming that this will be a sequel to Halo 5 Guardians, and the story taking place after the events of Halo 5 Guardians, they need to bring in more storytelling elements aside from an AI war. The next thing they need is split-screen multiplayer. Now obviously, I know Bonnie Ross has confirmed this.
For any FPS going out forward, we will always have split screen in going forward.
So we are definitely hopeful for that. But considering that this is also a game that is coming out for Xbox One X as well, and being that the Xbox One X is a pretty powerful system, I think they should have an option where more than 2 people should be able to play split-screen multiplayer. Another thing that they need to bring into the table is Forge on the launch. Halo 5's Forge, in my opinion, is probably the best Forge mode that I've ever seen. But it took a while and lots of updates for it to come out, and by the time it did come out, it was pretty buggy. But then, all of a sudden, they started fixing it, patching it up, and then it became the best Forge mode that I've ever played in a Halo game. But for Halo Infinity, they need to come out with this function during the time this game comes out. Not after 1 or 2 patches or 2 more updates or whatever. They need to come out with this thing during the day the game comes out. The reason that I'm making this as painstakingly, as obvious, and also forcefully as I can is because then they can bring in more content than the game may already have. Because Forge allows unlimited customization. And with the community making the content for the developers don't have to work as much on new maps or new game mode or whatever, and they have an asset with the community that makes these Forge maps. Because 343 is standing in a gold mine of Halo content. All they have to do is get the community to mine it out. And at the process, they could fix the content crisis that keeps going on in every game. Another thing they need is new vehicles. Not just vehicles that could go on air and travel on land, but maybe they can also include some water vehicles. Basically vehicles that could travel on water. And while we're at that, give us an ability to swim, like we see in the Battlefield and some Call of Duty games. I mean, honestly, it would be nice to see Halo have this much innovation. Another innovative idea would be space to ground battle. I mean, they don't have to include this, and most likely they probably won't, but it would be nice for us to fly the Pelican all the way up into space and start shooting at opposing players, while your other teammates are worried about what's happening on land. I know these are ideas that could probably take some influence from Star Wars, but come on, it would be nice to see. Another thing Halo should have is player freedom. Don't have a bunch of kill burials and also places where you go and it'll take 5 seconds for you to die if you don't get out of there. Like, let the player explore, see what they can find. And also, let the player have different scenarios and also have different approaches that they can take within those scenarios. Like with some players, they can go through a sneaky approach, and some players can go all out war. Let them have a choice and let them be the boss of how they play the game. Because these are the things that made the original Halo great. They gave us options to go through different scenarios. We people in the Halo community can give the developers even more ideas to make a great Halo game. Because remember, with all our complaints, we were able to bring back split screen multiplayer back into the Halo games. So let's influence the Halo developers to make the best possible Halo game that they can make. And not only that, the best innovative Halo game that they can ever possibly make. Anyway guys, let me know what you guys think of the new Halo Infinite game. Also include the content that this new Halo game should have. Rate, comment, and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later. This is Shadow Puppet dropping the mic.